Rose lived in a very old, run-down home in a small village. She and her husband had good careers and earned good money, but when their children grew up, they decided to move to a quieter place closer to nature. They sold their large home in the city, gave their money to their sons, and moved to an old, small home that Rose got from her parents. They started farming. Their farm was good and small, but required a lot of work. The children didn't like that life, so they took the money from selling the house and went to the city. Rose and her husband happily tended to the farm and garden. Suddenly, Rose's husband died, and she was left alone. Doing everything on her own was difficult, and without her husband, she didn't get as much satisfaction from it. So Rose gradually sold everything. The sons rarely visited their parents after moving to the city, but when they came to complain about how hard living in the city was, they got a check from their mom and disappeared again. Rose thought about her sons often. When she gave birth to her eldest Walter and soon her youngest William, she and her husband were over the moon. They spoiled their boys and did everything to make sure they needed nothing. Even when Rose was alone, she gave her sons money without issue just to help them. The boys were egotistic. After they left, they seemed to have forgotten about their parents. Walter's daughter was already grown, but Rose had only seen her a couple of times. She always wanted to look after her grandkids so her sons and their families would come visit on the weekends. She wanted to get the whole family together, but all she got was a phone call every other week and a visit every 6 months at best. Rose's health had declined, and she only had the energy to get up and feed her beloved old dog and her cat that had come out of nowhere. After that, Rose would need to rest. Today was harder than ever. She had absolutely no energy. Her head was spinning, and her mouth was dry. Rose went into her house and rushed to lie down. I'm going to die like this, alone, and who knows who will find me and when. Maybe it'll be Amelia, Rose thought sadly. Amelia lived a few doors down. She was about as old as her youngest son and was very wonderful to Rose. She knew that Rose was alone and came almost every day to visit, ask about her day and her health, get a list of what she needed from the store to buy and bring them, and call the doctor when necessary. She even gave her shots. She was a nurse in the local hospital. She also had a husband and a daughter. Rose was always happy when Amelia visited. She was the only person who helped her and who she could talk to. There was a knock at the door. Amelia immediately noticed that Rose wasn't all right. She took her blood pressure, gave her medicine, and told her not to get up until the evening. You should call Walter and William. You need help, and there's tons of work here to do. The steps are moldy, and the roof is in bad shape, Amelia insisted. She felt bad for Rose and didn't understand how her children could be so apathetic. Rose was a wonderful mother, and now she needed help just getting water. Rose never asked her sons for help. In the rare times when they came to visit, she was happy enough just to see them and didn't want to burden them with any housework. Amelia still called Walter and said Rose was sick and she needed help. Walter spoke with Amelia fairly coldly and said he was busy, that he couldn't just leave work, and in the end, that he would visit on the weekend. After finishing her shift, Amelia noticed 2 cars outside Rose's house. Well, they came. Thank God, she thought, and went right to Rose's house. After asking how Rose felt, Amelia asked Walter to step outside with her. He dallied and tried to slink away, but she insisted. Walter, you should take your mother with you. She's weak and needs help, and there's tons of work around the house. You could help her. Listen, I can't take her home with me. I don't have that much space, and my wife and I are always working. We can't take care of her. She could hire someone to fix up the house. And I think it's none of your business. Amelia wanted to say something, but he went right into the house. She sighed. The cold, rainy season had begun. Rose's roof started leaking. Amelia asked her husband to fix the roof and do other jobs around the house. Rose got sick more often. Amelia decided to take Rose in. Her whole family took care of Rose. They began to live like a big family. 6 months passed. Neither son had come to visit during that time. One morning, when Amelia went into Rose's room, she found her dead. They all loved Rose and were used to having her around, so this was a massive blow to them. Walter and William didn't come to the funeral because they were busy. They said they'd visit her grave later. 6 months passed. There was a knock at the door and a stranger in a suit standing in her doorway. "Hello, I need Rosemary Dawson," he said to Amelia. Amelia had goosebumps all over. That's my daughter. She isn't here right now. What happened?" "Nothing to worry about. I'll explain everything," he said, giving her an envelope. Amelia opened it and found a letter from Rose. "Dear Amelia, if you're reading this, it means I'm dead. You always took good care of me. It's hard for me to accept that the sons I raised and did everything for and made sure they wanted for nothing just forgot about me and left me to die. Only you were with me, your husband like a son, and your daughter like a granddaughter. So I decided to sell everything I own and leave it for your daughter. Why not for you? I know you, and I'm sure you would have refused to give it to my sons. But I did enough for them, and now I want to make sure that whatever was left after me goes to Rosemary. My bank account has enough money for her to get a good education and for her to get settled in the city. Please don't resist. The money could help her out immensely, and this is what I want. It's my way of saying thank you for what you all did for me. With love, Rose." Amelia finished the letter and cried. The man was a notary and gave her a handkerchief. He told Amelia that the will was written even back when Rose lived in her own home. He also gave her another envelope addressed to Rose's sons that Amelia was to give to them if they ever came around. Another year passed. Amelia noticed familiar cars outside Rose's home. It was Walter and William. "Hey, Amelia, what are you doing here?" "Well, I saw your cars and decided to see who stopped by," she answered. "Well, we have the right, don't we?" William said with a smirk. She took out the letter from her purse, gave it to Walter, and walked away silently. Walter opened it and read aloud. "My dear boys, if you're reading this, it means you came. It was painful for me to die knowing you weren't here. But don't think I'm blaming you. I blame myself for apparently raising you wrong. I knew that sooner or later you'd come to get your inheritance, but I must disappoint you. After I died, I left nothing for you, because my only inheritor is Rosemary, Amelia's daughter. You might hate me, but I don't care anymore. Amelia and her family gave me what you didn't. Love, warmth, and care. I don't understand why you were so cold and apathetic towards me. I'm very sorry that I didn't receive your attention and that you didn't let me see my grandchildren that I waited for so long. I probably made a mistake while raising you. Forgive me for what I did, but it was my decision and final wish. I love you, your mother." They looked at each other. "Does this mean we're in a stranger's house?" William said, confused, to his brother. "It seems so." "I don't understand how she could do this," Walter said angrily. After thinking that their mother's inheritance probably was just this decrepit home and land, they waved and left. But William was able to find out about Rose's money that was left to Rosemary. He started calling Amelia, causing scenes, and accused her of doing this on purpose. He threatened to take her to court. Then, the calls and threats stopped. Sometime later, Amelia went to visit Rose's grave and found Walter and William there. She quietly put some flowers on the grave and went to leave, but William stopped her. He asked for forgiveness for his calls and threats. He said as soon as he started attacking her, he began to dream of his mother. Every night she would come and yell at me for what I was doing. I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry. Forgive me for everything. I was wrong.